Welcome to the Talk Like a Leader podcast, where we explore the mindset, skill set, and habit set of leadership communication. Using these tips, techniques, and tactics, you'll be able to talk like a leader to build better relationships and get more done. Your host is Guy Harris, who has more than 20 years of combined professional and military experience in consulting, coaching, and training in areas like team and interaction dynamics, communication strategies and tactics, as well as emotional intelligence. Take it away, Guy.
Hi, this is Guy Harris. Welcome to the Talk Like a Leader podcast. I have with me today my friend and colleague, Carl Smith. He's been with us before. Welcome, Carl.
It's good to be back there, Guy.
It's good to have you back, my friend. So today we're going to discuss a bit about a subject that Carl and I were actually talking about before we started the recording, and this idea of trust and how trust affects the speed of communication, the effectiveness of communication, really, but the clarity of the communication, or how, I guess the flip side of that is how damaged trust can hurt the speed of communication or hurt how well we interact with the people around us. And we're borrowing an idea from Stephen M.R. Covey's book, The Speed of Trust, where he talks about this idea of a trust tax, meaning that when trust is low, things just take longer. It takes longer for effective communication. It takes longer for teams to make decisions. It takes longer for people to buy into projects and new ideas. And there's this whole host of things that take longer when trust is low. So one of the things that we think is true is that if as a leader, you can understand how to build trust faster and make trust happen, and certainly find ways to not damage trust in the process, you're probably going to be more effective in your communication efforts. You're going to make a better connection. You're going to move faster. Just things are going to go better. And as we started talking about the implications of trust and where does trust come from, we hit on the idea that a lot of what causes damaged trust is unmet expectations or expectations people have of others that aren't either fully communicated or fully understood. And as a result, they're not met. And then in that not meeting of the expectation, we cause dissatisfaction and unhappiness that damages trust. And then we have this whole cascade of events that happen simply because we didn't meet expectations. And it turns out, and we've talked about the DISC model, and if you want more information on that, you can listen to some other Talk Like a Leader episodes or go to our website, discpersonalitytesting.com. We have lots of information about the DISC model. And Carl and I have recorded some episodes about the DISC model. And not understanding or not applying the DISC model effectively can lead to damaged trust because of this issue of expectations. So I'm going to spin it off to Carl and say, Carl, what are some of your thoughts about how, or what is it the DISC model teaches us that helps us understand expectations other people have that maybe we don't have or that we don't understand? Where can some of these disconnects or failure to meet expectations come from?
Well, and I will say the piece that I really am grateful for in using the DISC model, it's this common language where we can begin to have healthy discussion, and for me to really begin to understand what's important to other people. Say, for instance, I know you're very task-oriented. I tend to be, on the flip side, very people-oriented.
We are a bit different, aren't we?
Shocking.
We're
right?
just a little bit different. Yeah.
But I mean, even in our relationship with being not just colleagues, but great friends for some 20 years.
Yeah, been a while.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is.
But it's me constantly thinking about, okay, from Guy's perspective, what does this look like? What is an expectation he may have? So I'll share with the audience, with everyone here, from a people perspective. It's this expectation of making a strong connection. It's this expectation of I will do this for you, and hopefully you'll do this for me because I care about you, because I like you, because you're important to me, because there's something special and meaningful, and just the fact that you're part of my life, or you're part of the folks that I do life with.
So you're saying from like a people or a person who focuses on relationships and people and emotions and feeling, all of that relational connection is critical to you to build trust and to have your expectations met?
Absolutely.
That's
absolutely
so different from me.
Well, let me hit. Would you care to share your perspective?
Well, the difference that strikes me is that what I hear you saying is that you would find it difficult to trust someone you didn't like and didn't feel like liked you.
Yes.
And to me, I don't have to like a person to trust them. They are two completely different issues.
Wow.
I don't tend to run trust through the relationship filter at all.
That's where I begin.
And so, but I think this is a really valuable thing to understand about the difference, because for me, now, I will eventually get to the place that in terms of having a really good relationship and having a very high level of trust with a person, relationship becomes important. I'm not saying that relationship doesn't matter. I'm saying it's not the starting gate.
Yes.
And I'm hearing that for you, basically it's the starting gate.
It is. Absolutely.
The stuff I'm going to talk about doesn't matter until the relationship piece is met.
Yes.
And for me, the relationship doesn't matter until you're on time. Or until, if you say you're going to call, you do.
Right.
Or if you say you'll take care of this issue, you actually took care of it.
Yes.
And for me, if you are on time and return the call when you said you would, and you did the things you said you were going to do, I can start to trust you whether I like you or not. It doesn't even begin to enter my mind whether I like you. In fact, I'm not going to start thinking about whether I like you until those things have happened.
See? And what's
so different.
It's so good. It's so good.
Isn't it funny? It's funny. It's good when you can laugh about it and not be irritated about it, right?
Yeah, no, but it helps people to understand this perspective.
Yeah.
I remember early in my career, and I would work with engineers, and I thought, hey, I'm Carl. Hey, let's go grab lunch. Hey, let's build a relationship. They didn't want a relationship. They wanted information so they can make an educated decision. And so it didn't register literally until about the time I met you, Guy, in my life of whole different.
I used to be very precise in my communication with people and not smile and not be warm and wonder what is their problem. So I've had to learn how to smile and try to be warm and friendly and ask about your family and stuff like that. And
I've had to learn to do a much more concerted effort to follow up, to do what I say I'm going to do. Not only to be on time, to be early.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Even this call. So I just got back from meeting with one of our clients that Guy and I are working with to develop a leadership development program. And I was slacking Guy, that's our internal communication, saying, hey man, I just left. It's going to take me 30 minutes to get home from the client's office. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, I can't be late. And I got home right about the time we said that we're going to try to get together. But I still felt bad that I didn't meet that expectation. Now you didn't communicate that or say anything, but that's what was going on in my mind, because this is such a big deal in a big area for me.
Well, and I think getting back to where we started, because I think we framed up like the different sides of the expectation piece. One is really more task focused and accomplishment focused, and the other is more relational focused. Just knowing that though means that you were sensitive to it and could manage it. Because in reality, what happened is when I get a communication that says, when I get information that tells me, hey, I've got this issue and here's what's going on, all of a sudden I'm good.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay. Right. You've given me the information I need. I can go into something else until you show up. But
well, and what that does is it's understanding, right?
It gets that idea of understanding and managing the expectations. So I think, briefly, we talk about the idea of trying to understand and meet the other person's expectations. I'll summarize what I think we talked about as we start getting to where we need to wrap up our time together for this episode. When we're interacting with the person who has a lot of relational traits, the supportive or inspiring trait, primary trait, it's important to keep in mind, especially if that's not your trait, that being warm and friendly and caring about the person is the gateway to trust.
Yes.
Ultimately, you're going to have to follow through in your commitments, because I suspect that even though Carl is warm and friendly, that if people consistently don't follow through on their commitments, that eventually starts to damage trust with you too, is my guess. So it's not to say that that other piece isn't important. It's just not the starting point. So like for people like me who are very, by nature, kind of cold and calculating and like, here's the bottom line and here's just what we need to do. I need to remember to be more friendly in order to get to the task. And on the flip side, people have a lot of relationship trait. It's good to be warm and friendly and encouraging and smiling and all that. And if you're late, it probably doesn't matter, because for the person who's task oriented, you've already hurt the trust. You've already failed to meet their expectation, whether it was stated or not. It's probably an expectation. And one of the things you can use the DISC model to understand better about both yourself and your teammates is, where are our expectations different? How do we frame these different things? Like, what does being on time mean? What does taking care of an issue mean? It's not safe to assume it means exactly the same thing to you that it means to another person. And to learn how to communicate about it and get those expectations out in the air to talk about it is, and get clear, so that when I'm working with Carl, I understand talking about his family is an important issue for Carl. It's not fluff. It's just important to my buddy Carl. And if I want to build trust with him, I'm going to take time for that. And Carl's going to manage the relationship the other way. I know timeliness is important to Guy. If I have a challenge, I need to let him know, so that he's not like, what the heck is going on?
Right.
and when we do that for each other, for members of our team, for our coworkers, for our supervisor, for our customers, when we do that, we start to manage the expectations people have, so that the communication goes better. And when it goes better, it goes faster. And when it goes faster, we get better results. So if you can learn to understand the expectations of other people and do everything you can to manage the expectations so that you're meeting it to the best of your ability, you're going to build trust. You're going to communicate more effectively. And if you learn how to do that well, you can talk like a leader. This has been the Talk Like a Leader podcast. You can listen to this show every week wherever you get your podcast. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'm Guy Harris, and thanks for listening.